and welcome to another Division video. In this build guide video, let's say it this way, it's not a conventional build video. I will show or present you. I will present you how you can set up your personal own decent tactician build for your future runs for legendary and something else. And this guide will have 4 parts. So in the first part I will talk about healing, tactician build and healing. It's a very important topic. Second point is the gear in itself, so the gear set and the possibilities you have to change some items in there and with the mods. Third part will be the weapons, talents and the weapon mods, and the fourth part the abilities, so the skills and talents you can use with this build. And as I said, it should not be a conventional skill build, not a conventional build guide, I would say, and just present you my build. Of course you will see my preferred choice, but to say this right at the beginning, I just read many comments the last time on Reddit, on my videos and somewhere else, and I heard some stuff. And usually the guys just tell that there is one thing you have to run, and that's the most decent one, and all other things, let's tell it black white, all other things are crap, especially something about the mods. Just skill power is good, just skill haste is good. Just to say this just right at the beginning, there is no single one decent gear set which fits for everyone. So there are many viable options you can choose, you can run, and I do have changed my setup too over the past couple weeks, months I would say, and I changed my setup. I can talk about this later too. So just to say this at the beginning, there's no single gear set you can copy which will work for you as well as for the guy that's using it, and that's why I will show you the options you have here as well. So don't waste any more time and let's get right into the build. But before I start with the build, as usual, if you enjoy the content and if this is helpful for you, then don't forget to give this video a like. I do really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below. I promise to answer all of my comments too. And of course subscribe if you haven't done it already, it helps me a lot too. So let's get right into build. As I said, first of all, first chapter I will talk about healing. As you already know, I think every tactician build, if you run a full tactician, then you don't have that much toughness and health on your build, and healing is a very important topic. Furthermore, because in this patch, as you all know, you don't have that much armor and toughness at all. It will be a little bit increased in 1.8, but I definitely do an updated version then again. And healing, you have different healing resources you can choose, and the most important thing right at the beginning, your build have to fit all of your parts of your build. So as I said, many viable options you can run, and the first choice should be what is your healing resource you use. Let's start with the one I prefer to have, and this one is on the weapon. As you see here is the weapon talent predatory. So you get back 35% of your health over 20 seconds, so it's a constant heal over time. It works pretty nice for me. I'm usually a solo player, usually a PvE player, and this build is mainly for PvE as well. Just to tell, this PvE tactician build is not that strong for PvP anymore in my opinion. Yes, you can run fire turret, but then fire crest is much more viable, and you can run sticky bomb as well. You can do a lot of damage with sticky bomb, but I don't think that so many people run this build with tactician build with sticky bomb for PvP. So I think most of you will use it for PvE, and that's my main focus here. So as I said, to come back, predatory, one healing resource on your gun works pretty well for me. The second one can be the backpack. And there is a special backpack, the one here, the Relentless, where you get 5% of the damage from your skills returned as healing. Works pretty nice as well. To be absolutely true with you, that was my first choice as I started with running tactician builds. I started with Relentless, and this is pretty decent. I choose this too these times, especially when I go into the DC and clear out contaminated events. As you all, I think most of you know, you get a constant damage over time there because of the contamination, and this is pretty nice to have. You get a lot of heal back from your skills, the damage of it. So that's the second option you have. Then the third option is here on the holster, and yeah, you have the nimble holster where you can get heal from cover to cover moves. I honestly have to say I'm not that used to nimble a lot, so go cover to cover in my combats, even PvP or PV, both the same, so that's why it's not my preferred choice. But as I said, if somebody is really used to this, that's a really nice way to get heal as well. So nimble as the third option. Fourth option is most of all a combination, I would say. That's the mask, and there is a really nice mask, rehabilitated. I think still at this moment not that many people know about this mask, how decent it is, especially for solo runs, group runs too. Works pretty well. You get a heal back 2% every second during status effect, and yeah, just imagine the legendary runs you have. There's so many fire bullets and whatever, they can bleed you, burn you, whatever, and there are grenades, the stagger effect, still you get a bleed from them too, and that's often a case you go die or not. Yeah, from the bleed effect is pretty strong to you too, and I honestly have to admit I died sometimes because of the bleed effect in solo runs, and this is the option for this. It works really well. Just give it a try. And yeah, to tell this at the beginning, you often when you run solo don't need 4-piece Tactician, so I often run just 3-piece, the knees, the holster and the gloves, and run 3 2 high-ends and the exotic one. As you see here, works pretty well. As I said, fourth option for healing is the rehabilitated mask, in my opinion. Yeah, you can heal yourself with grenades as well, so you can shoot a gas grenade or blend grenade to yourself and you get a heal back. That works pretty nice. So let's go right into the second chapter, the gear set at itself. As I said, first of all you should choose which kind of healing resources you will rely on, and if you rely on this one here like I showed you, then this is my setup, my preferred one. As you see here, I usually run Barrett's chest piece. My preferred is this one here, pretty nice health roll, skill haste roll, and minor attribute doesn't matter that much. I would really prefer to have ammo capacity here, but yeah, that's what I got and I'm pretty happy with this one. And the options you have here on the chest piece, there are 2. So if you run this build in a group, you have to change, or you should change this in a vigorous chest. Same setup, major attribute, skill haste and health, and minor ammo capacities would be my preferred choice. So if you have a healer in your group, then definitely go with a vigorous, just more useful than the Barretts in this setup. And the third option you have here is a Tactician chest. Yes, you can choose other high-ends, and the one would be possible to have here Tactician, Rehab Mask and Nimble Holster. Then you have at least 2 healing resources, probably the one from the gun, and if you will go really safe and all out healing, then of course you can choose the Relentless Backpack as well. So this is the 3 options here, Barrett's, Vigorous or Tactician. Let's go ahead to the mask. I told you already about the Rehab Mask, and the second option of course is the Tactician's Authority Mask. As you see here, high electronics roll, major attribute, there are 2 options. You can have skill power as you see here, or damage to elites, or on the major attributes you can run also the enemy armor damage. In my opinion they are pretty equal. If you have skill power or damage to elites, it doesn't matter that much on this gear piece here. But for PV content, always have a look that you have damage to elites on the minor attributes here. So let's go ahead to the knees. Knee pads, I think there are no other viable options than Tactician ones. And the same here, look for high electronic roll, major attributes, skill power as well, and minor attribute, the most important one for me for PV content, damage to elites. Honestly, the other 2 I don't care about this much, too much. yeah, let's say it this way, too much. And of course it would be the nicest setup for me, at least, would be here to have bleed and burn resistance. As I already say, just think about napalm, so many bleed effect and burns there, would be really nice to have. And the third option, of course, the disrupt resistance would be nice as well. Yeah, that's the knees. Let's go ahead to the holster. I told you already about the option here. The second one, of course, is Tactician, and yeah, high electronic roll is the most important thing, and major attribute, always look that you have skill haste on this one. Same, of course, if you run nimble, then you have to watch too that you have skill haste here, and high electronic rolls. The gloves, there is no other viable option in my opinion for a Tactician build than the Tactician Authority gloves. This one are pretty god roll in my opinion. They were on sale a few weeks ago. As you see, pretty nice armor roll, pretty high electronics roll, and the major attributes: enemy armor damage, health on kill, and skill haste. These are really the three. Yeah, I am really happy about this one. So enemy armor damage, 2 more damage, get a heal back from the kills, and skill haste. It works pretty nice. Let's go ahead to the last single gear piece here on this setup, the backpack. There are 3 options on, no, 2, I think 2 options. They're really viable on this part here. Inventive is my preferred choice, and you have much more skill power with this one, and yeah, it works pretty nice if you're. And same here, high electronics roll, skill power, and ammo capacity. Yes, minor attribute you can swap out to burn or disrupt resistance as well. It works pretty well, but because I don't have ammo capacity on my chest, and yeah, you don't use the gun that often, but a little bit more ammo is pretty nice to have, especially if you use this build too in Last Stand or Dark Zone or whatever, then that's really nice to have. And yes, here the option 2, I told you already about the Relentless one. That's the option here in my opinion, to have another healing resource. Same here, high electronic, major attribute, skill power, and ammo capacity here. Yes, and there would be, if you really don't have any backpack of this one here, the third option would be specialized, skill power, ammo capacity as well, and electronics roll. But honestly, you don't get that much skill power out of it. Just calculate it quickly. You have about 2-8 firearms, 2-8 stamina makes 5-6, 200% makes about 11k skill power. Of course, better than nothing, but yeah, the other options are just more worth, in my opinion, to use. And yeah, you see sometimes some combinations with Ninja Bike as well. I tried this by myself a couple times, and you have different options if you use it with this one here. You can use the 2-piece Tactician or 3-piece and combine it with 2-piece D3 for the damage to elites and the protection from elites, or of course with Striker to get the extra enemy armor damage. But in my opinion, it's really not worth using with a classical skill build, because you lose so many skill power with the Ninja Bike. That's why I said it's, in my opinion, just not worth using this one. And yeah, if they really stay the same, the 5-piece bonus on the classified gear, and the 6-piece, I don't know what it is at the moment. I'm really curious about, and yeah, I'm glad if I can hear it soon what it is. But if the 5-piece stay the same, just 5% increased skill power and 5% skill haste, in my opinion, then this setup I'm running now is worth much more than the 5-piece. Of course, you will swap out the parts here to classified ones, but as I said, I think this setup is more viable than in 1.82, but we will see what will happen then. As I said, backpack, 2 options here, inventive or relentless, or if you really don't have one of them, then you can run specialized, of course, or tactician would be an option too. But as I said, these would be the 3 preferred choices for me. So let's go ahead to the mods. As you see here, all the mods I'm using are skill power and electronics, of course, and Seeker Mine damage. And Seeker Mine damage, because of this, as you see here on this one, my sticky makes about 1.3 million damage, and yes, this damage is enough if you play alone or in a group of 2 to one-shot the healer. So in my opinion, it doesn't make any sense if you kill him with one shot with 1.3 million, or if you kill him with one shot with 1.45 or whatever million damage. If you can one-shot the healer, it's enough. Of course, if you play in a group with 4, then it's much more worth to have, you can choose sticky bomb damage instead. But as I said, my preferred choice is to have Seeker Mine damage here on this one. If you run this build with a turret, then of course would be an option too to have turret damage mods here. But usually, especially if you run solo and there are many NPCs shooting at the turret, it gets destroyed that fast that, yeah, it's not worth using in my opinion. So this is the setup for the build. As I said, let's go to the third part, the weapons. I started already with the Predatory. And yeah, just to tell one thing more about the Gearmods, as you see, skill power and electronics. And I told you all at the beginning that some guys will give a recommendation and say, yeah, no, that's not worth using. You have to go with skill haste, it's much better. And yeah, as I said at the beginning, there are many viable options here too. So in my opinion, if you have the weapon talent, the second one here, Determined, which gives you 7.5%, it's much more worth than have skill haste mods on your build. You lose a lot of skill power. That's a fact. So one of the most important things you should have on your weapons talents is Determined, in my opinion. And yeah, I think most of you know it already. You have to choose 2 or 4 weapons to unlock the talents here, and Predatory has to be in the 3rd slot because otherwise you can't unlock it. And ARs, and because you have AD on this one, enemy armor damage, and you can increase the damage from your Sticky and Seeker as well with this. So that's why I use 2 ARs on my Tactician build. As you see, Destructive, Determined and Predatory on one, and on the other one, Ferocious, Destructive and Determined, always Determined. Destructive, because of this, when you run Legendary, then you don't have elites all the time, and Destructive works always except of course the red bar NPCs, but otherwise is a really useful talent. So these are the 3 most useful talent in my opinion for Tactician build. If you just have one weapon, I would choose this one, these 3 talents. Second one, I swap to this one just when I fight the healer or when I fight the end bosses, and then I do as much damage as possible with Ferocious and Destructive together. So these are my preferred choices of weapons here. And yeah, the third one, you can use a 204 pistol as well, but you can run a double barrel shotgun. You have 3 talents there as well, and you can use it just for healing. You can have Sustained, Predatory and Determined, but I honestly am not that used to swap to my pistol that often, and yeah, I have to admit I'm too lazy as well to swap between my 2 guns and the pistol too. So that's why in my skill build I don't care about the pistol that much. But of course, if you're used to it, you can use this as well as a healing resource. Works pretty nice as well. For the weapon mods, I don't care about this that much, so that's why I don't talk about that much over this one here. So you don't do that much damage with your weapon anyway, and that's why I usually prefer to have more stability, especially on my LVOAC. And yeah, as you see, the holo sight is absolutely crap. I should craft a better one here, but yeah, it doesn't matter that much. You will just do it if a guy rushes you to melt him down, and it doesn't matter that much on this gear piece here, on this weapon, in my opinion. Yes, these are the weapons, the things I can tell you about this. And one thing I forgot to mention in this matter, if you play Last Stand with this build, you have to change 2 things. And one thing is swap out 1 mod electronic to firearms. And the reason is because when you go to Last Stand, everything gets normalized, your weapons too, so your weapon talents wouldn't be unlocked except the 3rd one, and that's why I changed to my 256 weapon, the one here, and there I have Talented, Competent and Predatory. The third one, it's pretty up to you what you would like to use. Predator is my healing resource, that's why I use Predatory here. And Talented and Competent, you can unlock the requirements just with one gear mod into firearms. That's why I preferred this one. And you make more damage, and of course in Last Stand anyway it gets maxed out, so it works pretty nice. That's the only change you have to do for Last Stand. Then it works pretty well there too. So these are the most important weapon talents. As I said, AR you have to look, no, don't play with an LMG or SMG, doesn't make any sense. And yeah, the bonus to damage on the LMG to targets out of cover doesn't add to your heal damage skills, so it doesn't increase the damage on it, either on your sticky, either on your seeker or the turret, so that's why it doesn't make any sense. And yeah, you don't need the crit chance in your skill build. That's why you should go for assault rifle here. Yeah, that's it about the builds, the gear mods, the weapon and the weapon mods. And let's go quickly just to mention this, that you see it, this one here. The most important stats, in my opinion, are the one here, damage to leads from the mask and the knee pads, and the weapon talent, then health on kill from my gloves, and the enemy armor damage. These are the most important stats, in my opinion, for a skill build. And of course skill power and skill haste. And yes, skill power, probably most of you already heard it. You have a diminishing returns on 450 skill power, so if you go above you don't get that much more damage from it. That's why I said at the beginning, it's not that kind of issue if you swap out one gear piece and you run just 3 piece, because especially if you run solo you don't get that many stacks, especially of course just when you run a turret, but otherwise it doesn't make that much sense, and you are anyway almost at the cap from skill, not the cap but the diminishing returns from skill power. So that's why I usually run just 3-piece stack and 3-piece high-end exotic on this build here. And as you saw already, I think skill haste is on 40%. So if you would really like to run skill haste, then don't forget you just have to change 3 mods. Then you have 49% because the cap is at 50%, and you can leave 2 mods on skill power, because if you're higher, 52 or 55% doesn't make any sense. Cap is at 50. So that's a little thing to add about the second and the third part. And let's go ahead to the abilities, talents and skills. As you see here, my preferred choice for the most of the content in the division, most legendaries, incursions, whatever, is to run sticky and seeker mines. You do just a lot of damage with both of them, and yeah, that's why I prefer them. And you force the bleed effect, and that's pretty strong on the NPCs. If you run solo, of course, recovery link works pretty well, and yeah, determine works on your this one here too, on the what's the name, signature skill. Yeah, on the signature skill as well. So if you play solo legendary, you use the recovery link, you get it back in less than a minute with determine. So it's pretty awesome, really. I have to say it's awesome. And yeah, the options you have here is to change this one to active sensor, of course, if you're not that confident with the sticky. That's the second option you can run. And of course, if you run it in a group, then it depends on the group setup. You can run a strong pulse for the group, you can run a healing box for the group. But if you'd like to run a healer, then, and you would like to see a healer build from my side, then just let me know in the comment section down below, and I will show you one to you, of course. But this is my preferred choice here. Let's go to the talents. Here you see my talents of choice. This is my setup because I ran before with one of my subscribers to do a legendary for his first time. So thanks again at this point, you did a great job. Yeah, that's why I changed to combat medic. But usually I do have this one here. So let's change it this way. Yes, to go one after each other here, of course chain reaction. If you run Seeker and Sticky, this is almost a must, because yeah, with Seeker Mine you, I think almost all the time you hit more than one target and you do more damage. and you try often to shoot your sticky not straight to one NPC and deal just 2 damage to this one alone, you often shoot it to the ground and damage more than one. And that's why it works as well in PvP here, because then it's just strong if you can hit more than one rogue or non-rogue agent, because 20% it's really a lot. This one here, sorry, 20% it's really a lot. That's why this one is really nice to have. Yeah, my second choice is the Demolition Expert. The reason why I usually start the fight, then I try to kill one NPC with my sticky, healer or whatever, and then I get this proc this Demolition Expert, and I do have 20% more damage with my Seeker, and that's pretty decent as well. So that's the reason why I run Demolition Expert. So if you just run Seeker, I would change the talent here, Demolition Expert, to another one. I can show you the options you have at the end. The third one, talent of my choice, is Death by Proxy. As you see, you have an increased skill power, but 20% for 30 seconds is a long time, in my opinion, and 20% is a lot. And yeah, in PvE and PvP you can destroy a lot of skills from hostiles, in my opinion. You can just destroy Seeker Mine, you can destroy a healing box, a turret, whatever, and then you have much more skill power. And yeah, that's the same reason for Firecrest to reach that high numbers. It's usually talented, this one here, that's per proxy, and then you can reach about 25 to 26k damage with your fire turret as well. That's just because that's of proxy. And yeah, just remember that last part from Napalm, Widow, the most beloved NPC in the whole division, I think. If you destroy a healing box of her, then you deal a lot more damage with your next Sticky and Seeker, and you can kill her easier, especially if you run solo or just in a 2-man group. So the third choice from my side is Strike Pack, just when I'm low on health, when it's a critical scene in our fight there, then I get my heals back much quicker. That works pretty well for me. So the options you have, one I showed you already. If you run in a group or more than 2 guys, 3, 4, then this one is a must in my opinion. So I usually swap out Strike Pack for Combat Medic to heal my teammates as well when I'm using a medkit. That's another option. You can use Crit Save of course too for using a medkit to get more resistance. It's pretty nice as well. So sometimes I swap out the one here, depends on the mission, to the Crit Save. And the next option in my opinion is this one here, Tech Support. It extends the duration of your skills, doesn't matter if it's a pulse or the turret or whatever, by 10%. But in my opinion 10% is not that much, in my opinion. And yeah, for every kill, of course you can kill more than one NPC, but anyway, I play this usually when I play a turret. But anyway, I told you already, if you place a turret and many NPCs shoot at it, then it gets destroyed pretty fast and you can't this talent anymore. That's why I don't use this that often. And yeah, the last one is this one here. But honestly, I don't be a huge fan of Shrapnel. I see some builds from guys that use this, and yeah, it could be useful, but in my opinion it's too less of an advantage you get out of it, and I'll explain you why. So as I said, if you kill one guy with a sticky, then he is death, and yeah, if somebody is death, an NPC, then he don't bleed anymore, isn't it? And yeah, it doesn't make sense there. So if you hit the guys with Seeker, and yes, Seeker Mines are Seeker Mines because they seek the target, and you usually hit most or all of them, and yeah, if you hit all of them, they bleed, and you don't spread the bleed effect if they anyway bleed. You just spread if somebody doesn't have the bleed effect, and then you have 30% chance, or just every third guy chance to spread the bleed effect, and this one is just if he's closer than 10 meters. So yeah, I think usually when you throw your Seekers, then they reach everyone, and when they don't reach everyone, then this guy is usually further away than 10 meters from the next guy. So that's right, Shrapnel in my opinion doesn't make that much sense. I tried it by myself, but as I said, I personally think it's not that useful, but these are the talents you can choose from. As I said, this is my setup. Just test it out for yourself what works for you. And yes, this is the things about the talents and skills, all the abilities, and that's it for the guide here for the build video. So I really hope that this was useful for you guys and you can add something to your current build. And as I said, there is no single build you should copy one-to-one. All the guys that build something, they have other favorites, other gear options, and yeah, it depends always what kind of gun talents you use, what kind of setup you use, and there are so many viable options, and you can finish legendary with all of them. So just test it out what works for you. And as I said, I really hope this was helpful for you guys, and don't forget, if it was and you enjoyed it, to give this video a like. I do really appreciate it. And leave a comment down below. I promise to answer all of them. And as usual, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, then don't forget to hit this button and you can see all my future videos. So thanks a lot for watching and see you in the next one. Bye bye.